Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to the show. I'm over here fighting my turn my Spotify music down. Over here fighting my like I realized I didn't put my chip in my camera so I can record the show later, and it like won't fit. I gotta figure out what's going on in there. I'll worry about that later in the show. Anyway, welcome to the live stream. I'm still getting my coffee in me. Of course, you guys know I live on the other side of the planet, so it's still early here. I've been watching chat as we've been counting down, and God, you got a couple good questions. Yeah, isn't it weird? So like just kind of jumping in, catching up on chat for where it is. Like Sinkwolf's like, yeah, it's like watching the live stream afterwards. It was really kind of weird doing the live stream and then watching back the live stream and then filming or editing down the Q&A. So if you guys are first time here, we do the Q&A shows kind of filmed inside of this live stream a little bit later on. So I'm gonna need that. And so anyway, we do that. We kind of record in, and you're a part of it. We take the questions from here. So actually, I'm going to change it up. I'm going to ask, maybe ask you, because it seems, and we'll talk about this as we go on a couple more times as more people join. And I'll let you all kind of think about it and jump in chat and answer. I feel like YouTube's like, obviously with shorts and everything, it's like nobody has the attention span for this middling content. Streams are good like this, and then like the really short 60-second or less shorts are good, but in between it's like not really that good. Like from what I understand, like it just doesn't seem to be hitting, like it gets out to like subscribers, but past that it's not that great for like the Q&A stuff. Like for reviews I still do good. So question on this: today, should we film little chunks as we answer questions throughout the show, instead of me putting up one Q&A show that I've done 278 times? We make it just little 4-minute answer your questions, but their own video. Like I produce it like it's its own standalone video, and maybe throughout the week I release 3 or 4 of those, and then I can also cut those down into shorts. So anyway, just curious. I'm going to throw that to you guys in chat and you guys and gals, and let me know what you think. Still keep the long form-ish, mid-form, 15, 14, 13-minute Q&A, or take the same kind of filming and just chop, chop, chop and become 4 or 5-minute videos. Let me see. Let's catch up on chat. What else? A lot of people having food, dinner. Oh, yeah. I haven't had breakfast yet. My breakfast, about the most unhealthy thing. By the way, big thanks to my brother from another mother, Misaki, who is the one of the top guys at Lilacs. He keeps me supplied of these tough gummies. These things are so freaking good. They're hard to find here, and I think they're probably almost near impossible to find in the States. They're so good, though. They're like these cubes, and they're really tough, and most of them are like sour. It's so good. And of course, it's not a healthy breakfast, black coffee and that, but hey, what are you going to do? All right, let me see what we got. Great dinner. People eating dinner. Stuck at work. All right, keeping going down chat. Weekend airsofting. I kind of want to talk about that. This last weekend, I got rained out hard. Had a typhoon roll through here. In fact, I've got to film a video. I'll show you what I'm filming. I'm going to tease that. I'm going to talk about who is coming on the show next week. We're going to actually have a guest on next week. Paul's got a question. The question about this week. Someone in their 40s. Yes. Someone in their 40s. That's me too. Issues with knee and hip. All right. We'll talk. Actually, it's funny. I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about, I did have a question for you guys in chat, and Paul's question matches up big time. So let's chat about that one, Paul. I'm going to save yours. So, Pro 28556, team, finally getting your stuff. Nice. Get out with the team, man. Playing with team is so much fun. Right now, Kev's in here. Speaking of Japan, he's going to be joining as part of the group to the Krytac owners meeting, going to Japan in like two weeks, almost 2 weeks now. We're going to be heading out there. So he says, shorts, same as TikTok, called the TikTok effect. Swipe and watch, maybe follow, but no real value when you get followers. YouTube's only pushing. I know, right? It's just killing me. Follower value from shorts, TikToks mean nothing. Yeah, and that's the thing. You get, when you earn, you can get subscribers and followers from shorts, but the ones that come over are expecting 60-second little boop, and that's it. And I don't want that. So, yeah. Oh, Mayday-san Airsoft. Yes, I saw you on the list. He's in here too. Mayday-san's here. And so he's going to be there too. We got two people that are going to be at the KOM, the Krytac owners meeting. Man, look at this. It turned out to be like a pre-game party. Oh, do you think Russian? Oh my gosh. We can talk about that one too. So let's kind of get settled. I'll tell you who the guest is next week, and I'll kind of mention this later on the show too, because it's kind of a big deal. Since we're talking about the Krytac owners meeting, the guest next week is going to be Tim Sargent from Krytac. He's going to be here to answer all your Krytac questions, including questions about, well, I might as well just show you what I got hiding if I don't get demonetized on the stream for showing this. Oh, what was it? Oh, wait, you didn't see that. You didn't see anything like that. That was not a Maxim 9. Anyway, I'm finishing up the review on that. I got the last part to film today after this live stream. So I'll give you all my feedback on the Maxim 9. That one's got to go back. It's got to go back to the factory. So yeah, they got it. Fortunately for me, I live in the country where they make the thing. So it kind of works out pretty well. I mean, Krytac's, their office, their factory, well, their production office is in a really, really nice building about 5-7 kilometers from where I live. So it's pretty close by. Works out pretty nice being in the same city. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been working on. It's been a project. It's lots of interesting things about the Maxim 9. But Tim's going to be joining us next week. We can talk about the Maxim 9, talk about Krytac, talk about all their other projects. You guys want to dive into the P90, their last release, some of the stuff they've done with the Barrett licensing, and then, of course, maybe the future of Krytac, what's going to happen there. But those guys are so tight-lipped about what their projects are. Like, I found out, like, I'm friends with a lot of them, like, close friends, and it's like, all of a sudden, poof, this Maxim 9 project just appears. I found out when you found out, right? It's one of those things. Oh, let me see. Yeah, so Russian, let's do this. Let's do this Russian, because I want to dig deep into this, not just getting older in Airsoft and playing, but I think it's a very subset of a question that I think we can talk about is like fitness in Airsoft. And I'm not turning into a fitness channel, but like what level do you need to, like, how much does it play? Is it important? Can you still have a good time without it? Do you think you'll have a better time with it? We'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, Russian kit, Pro 2A506. Do you think Russian kits in Airsoft will recover from current events? That's a very tough one. I've got some really cool Russian kits, all the authentic stuff. They're all back in the States. I never brought them with me here. Actually, maybe I think I did bring one of my uniforms here. I got to dig through my uniform box. First off, by way of Russian kit, I absolutely love the way they design their uniforms. They're like wearing almost, depending on which ones you get on and wear, some are like super robust and some are like wearing pajamas out to go play in. I freaking love that. Like the hoodies and the oversized pants and all that. I really find the basic nature of the Russian kit refreshing, is opposite, is like polar the opposite of running a modern, like Western military kit. That said, with everything going on and in Ukraine and all that, and we're probably going to get flagged because I said these things all in the same sentence. Yeah, I just don't think right now it is bad. I mean, I'll tell you right now, I had the patch design. And this is not me shameless. This is not a shameless shelf promotion. This is just case in point. Let me find here we go. I've literally been sitting on this design of a patch for so long. I finally released it, and then everything happened. I think it's a great design. My buddy Jim used to be an artist for Disney and DreamWorks both. He drew it. And, well, let's just say right now is pretty bad timing to release that. And let's just say also, I think I've sold like 2. Normally these things sell very well, like any new patch drop. So I think it was like 2 or 3. So if sales of that design match anything, then yes. And also I got a series of 4 pinup girls, and one's like an IDF girl. It's really IDF. She does really well. She sells well. I got 2 U.S. soldier girls. I got a Navy SEAL and a Ranger. Those sell pretty well. And then I have this girl's Spetsnaz shoulder. I wish I should have brought it up if we were going to talk about this. I have that, and it was my number 1 seller, and I think it's dropped pretty hard as well since everything that's been going on. So by way of merchandise that references that, I'm sure the same's on the field. It's probably going to carry over, like wearing Russian kit. You're probably not going to do it. It's probably going to be a long time. It may not ever. I think the only thing is like people will probably start doing Ukrainian loadouts. I think that's pretty cool. But as for like Russian kit, I think it's gonna be a hard time. I'm actually curious, and this would be a good conversation to have, and maybe a good guest to have on the show, is the guys at Milsim West. See how their attendance has changed. I think they've got such a great game. I think it's probably gonna impact them. I mean, they got a like loyal follower group and like this thing. I'm curious. So. Yeah. Oh man, they hid your chat, pro. Here, let me unhide you. Let me uncensor you. Chat tried to censor what you wrote. There you go. Put you in there. Yeah, pretty much. I think that's probably the response. Yeah, attendance has gone up for Milsim West. Random guy Kev says I wouldn't be surprised because here's the deal: Milsim West still puts on an amazing game, and it's always been in this fantasy level, like not reality. And I think the players there understand, like, while it's probably the most serious Milsim game you could play, it's also not taken too seriously. It's a really amazing balance that Josh and Brian and the rest of the crew there at Milsim West have put on to have this unbelievable hyper ultra Milsim event. Like, it's, you know, you're out there all weekend, you know, you got to bring everything onto the field. They have this, like, I hate to use the word cult following, but they do have a cult following. And then at the same time, people are like LARPing and having fun and being silly. And it's just like this crazy two sides of the coin. And it works so well. This lightning in a bottle. And I figure it's like, oh, there's no way, you know, I wanted the best for them. It's like, there's no way that this will continue to last. I mean, like, but it's been, they've crushed it. Absolutely crushed it. They're really like the pinnacle of Milsim, I think. All right, let's go back up. So yeah, it looks like Russian Milsim kits are gonna be DIA or DOA for a while. Let's go. Let's see. Man, FOV's here. What's up, FOV? FOV, I owe you something. I know you know what I owe you. I got to get you one of those sent. I haven't unpacked the pallets for what I want to get you. So, because I haven't even put those up yet. So stay tuned. They're coming. I didn't forget about you. Ho Ching Young's here? All right. This is a good one. Let's do this. Ho Ching Young. Can I try to start a debate? Dual wielding and airsoft can be accepted and fun. The hobby doesn't have to be all tactical. Dual wielding. I don't know. Chat, go jump in here on this one. I think it's fun, but like I'm terribly inaccurate when I dual wield. Like, for real. I'm like, I don't know. I guess because my brain's trying to focus on both. I mean, it's beneficial. Like, I've used it at times where you're trying to cover two doors and you're like stuck in a building and you know you're about to get, you know, overrun and I'm going to get just stomped on. So then I will use it to kind of like a last stand in the corner, you know, like, and just use my peripheral vision. If anybody just comes in to start pulling triggers, you know, I don't know though. You do, Paul, you dual wield all the time? Like run in? So question, when you dual wield, is it like New York reloads? Like you just use the right and then when you run out, you switch to the left and you go? Or is it like full on John Woo movie akimbo style, you know? Let me look. Well, you guys are chatting about that. Falco C20. Oh my God. Yeah. C21. I want to talk about that too. Oh, that's so terrible. Okay. Rocks Airsoft. I can see it's dual wield MP7s like that, especially like the AEG MP7. Those are pretty good. I could definitely get behind that. Yeah. Reloading for sure. That's the big challenge. Both guns at once, spin Eon reloading back in spawn. Now, if you're doing like pistols and you get those like oversized drum mags that like, who was it? AW makes those, like, which is under the WE brand too. It's all the same factory essentially. Different engineers, same factory. If you get the AW custom / WE like drum mag for your high cap or G series or whatever, then yeah, those are great. Yeah, then you don't have to do it. So sick. Who's more handsome, Jet or Harrison? Why is it? Oh, Harrison, is that you? Are you trolling in here? I hope it's the Harrison I know. If so, it's absolutely Harrison. King Harrison, if it is. If it's the Harrison I think it is, it's got to be King Harrison. What is this? Dual wheel pistols. Yeah, it's fun, have fun, and you're not going to hit a thing. I know, right? Like, it is fun, but like the accuracy. The only way I hit something is if I literally like smack them together and hold them like this. So they're one in each hand, and I kind of lock them against each other so I can double aim. And that's the only time I've ever had like any kind of real accuracy dual wielding anything. I think though, and who was it talking about the AUG? Dual in the AUG and the Shoddy. That was SM295. Excuse me, still waking up, getting the throat cleared. I think you could maybe, if you did those like really light VFC, poly, or like the lightweight 249 machine guns, right? Like the LMGs, you could dual hip fire those. Hang on, let me clear. There we go. Hopefully better. I think that you might be able to. I've seen like the guys that play the Juggernaut rolls, like walk around with those. Like they're just kind of jammed in their armpits, kind of, and they just, you know, whatever. And you got box mag. I think the secret to dual wielding is having a high capacity mag, because like you cannot reload. What up? Mayday-san, Airsoft. Wish we had Milsim kind of stuff in Japan. It's just team deathmatch and flag and one life. I will say this. I love playing Airsoft in Japan. But there is one thing I don't love. It's the one life. Because you'll go out, you'll play, and I love the power level because everybody's playing like sub 1 joules. So when you get hit, it doesn't really hurt. And I think that allows a lot of newer players to come. You'll see way more girls playing Airsoft in Japan because I think it's just less painful than just because it's more accessible then, right? Like in the States, I can speak for it's like 400. Here it's about 400, right? It just makes it a little less accessible because at some point you start to, leave bruises that draw blood and most girls aren't cool with that, right? Like to walk out, like most girls don't have like that pain tolerance. Like P90 girl, if you guys know who she is, she's a great YouTuber. She'll like I've watched her play. She'll be stitched up all the way up or down her arm. She's like, yeah, she's so excited, right? I'm like, how do you do that? I mean, like just bloody, literally. And I think a lot of girls just don't want that. So it ends up being something that kind of prevents them from being at least accessible to the hobby. So I think in Japan with the lower power level and less chance of getting like bleeding and stuff, that it actually for sure. And that's it. Yeah. So Kev, it is almost every game you're going to play this at the KOM also. It is one life, no touch and go respawn. Yeah. Play your life. When you're done, wait it out. And that's the problem. If you just don't know the map because we're going to be new, right? If you don't know the map and you go run out there and you get blasted, you just got to go sit back and wait until the next game and they'll rotate teams. So yeah. I agree too, Mason. Low power level also balances the game to gun skill. Yeah, it really lowers it levels the playing field a lot. And if you're good, if you're fast, yeah, it's Rainbow Six Siege style. Yeah, true that. Yep, I'll hit you up, Ho Chi Young. I've got you on. I need to get you my line ID, and you can add that. Right now, it's looking like if everything plays out, I'm landing on the 3rd of November. I'm talking to Ho Chi Young. I might go into Japan. I'm going to meet up with him. He's there. I'm landing on the 3rd. I'm going to try to get to Tokyo potentially. I'm still working out the fine details. The game is on the 5th. The night of the 4th, I've got dinner with the group. So all of us are getting together that night. But I've got to see if the 4th I'm open. Because I think like guys like Kev and their first time there, they're going to take everybody out on the 4th to kind of do like a Tokyo tour area. But I've been there a bunch. So I might just solo and go hit the shops I need to hit and do some things. And then come back and start charging batteries at night. So I'll either have the 3rd or the 4th to meet up with you. It's probably the best bet's the 3rd because my flight they changed my flight on me. Not they, but I mean like actually the airline changed it. All the flights shifted times. So now I'm getting there at like noon in Narita. So I'll just grab my bags, get through all that red card, green card, blue card, stuff at the airport and the My SOS app and all the stuff you got to do to get through the thing. And then I'm guessing I can probably drop my junk off because we're staying pretty much in Chiba. It's like halfway. So I'll be able to drop my bags off at the Chiba hotel. So I'll probably be down in Tokyo like on the 3rd, maybe at like 3-ish in the afternoon, 3:30 probably, because it's just right on the way. That's kind of the plan. So I'll keep you posted on that. I want to hit a couple shops that day in case I'm going to be with the group on 4th, and you can just hang out. We can just go get a bite to eat that night or something. Be fun. I've already been bookmarking places, but you probably know more places than me. I'm looking forward to like Tokyo feedback. So sorry, yeah, the whole check is to hear like us plan our Tokyo stuff. Let's see. Blue Metal's, he's like, Blue Metal, back to round of the first thing. Blue Metal's like, I do my Russian load. I don't care what anybody says. Man, go for it, man. I think it's intent, right? If you're doing it to like be a jerk, then it's one thing. If you're doing it just because that's what you enjoy playing in, then it's a totally different thing. But, okay, I'm going to give, so hop-ups. This will be a good talk, and then we'll get into what we're going to talk about. Just get an M4 with the Jagarms. Sinkwolf says, forget dual wheel, just get an M4 with the Jagarms master key, underbarrel, and hip fire. What about, I'm going to raise this. What about the classic Army, that double M4? You know, when actually it was like 2 glued together. What about one of those with the master keys, plural, underneath? There you go. Done. So. Oh, Delaney? He, actually, his charges got dropped for Greg, if you don't mind, Spartan. So he, yeah, the thing that happened to him, he's dropped. He's actually been, he's in the farm industry working now. Everything's worked out for him. He got out of Cali, stupid laws, and he's been doing good. But yeah, he, all that got cleared up. So, and Roxy Airsoft says most guns play Milsim light rules. I like Milsim light rules. Those are kind of my favorite. So, all right, let's see. Where was he looking? I had one more thing. Russian loadout. Wait. Bullpup AR. I'm going to tell you, SM295. Talking about, and again, sorry for my throat getting cleared. Bullpup AR. PTS made this thing. What was it called? Help me out. I'm going to open up where's my window here? PTS made that, what, PDRC, I think? I think that's what it was called. Yes. If you can find it, it's nigh impossible to find. I think this, I regret to this day. Let me see if this really works. Let me see if my thing works here. Does this work? We got something? No, it's not working. I need to reset that one up. Let me go back to the 1UP stream. I was hoping to have like the 1UP webpage thing. Why is the webpage not working? Let me find it. Is this it? No. Help me out. Bear with me for a second. Here we go. Let's do properties. And we'll do this one. Hey, there we go. All right. Okay. Let me try that. There we go. I found it. Found it, everybody. Hey, it works. Let me move this here to the center. Okay. Is that showing up right? I hope it's showing up right. So this is the PDRC. If you guys are looking at it. And this one, to me, is pretty cool. For a bullpup platform. And it takes M4 mags in the back. And it was, I think KWA made this thing for PTS. Super, super, super cool bullpup platform, M4, KWA build, PTS externals, and just kind of like this hybrid, really interesting. I regret my eyes are bleeding. I know your eyes are bleeding, but still, man. I go back to me. That is to me, I thought was like the most practical, cool little PDW ever. Yeah, exactly. Nobody really knows about it, right? It's not a real product. So it was never like something real. It's something they created, and it was out. They did like these limited batch releases of this thing, and it never really stuck. But I always regret not getting one because I think it was cool. So yeah, back to Mayday-san. He's given some feedback here. He's dropping in chat talking about Japan rules. You can't run. That's true. You cannot run, at least indoor stuff. Where we're gonna play is the Sabage Airsoft Park. I think you can run there. You can kind of move quicker. A lot of walking, pine clearing. Yes, small maps. The field we're playing at though, so don't. For those that are in chat that are gonna be coming, we're playing at a considerably large field by Japan standards. So we'll be able to go outside. Yeah, and it's definitely not spam and chill. I really like super cool, fun way to play Airsoft. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I always look forward to it every year. And I'm getting excited because I'm like already starting to pick out my gear I'm going to bring with me and all that good stuff. So, I was pretty sure it was made originally by Magpul. Yeah, that's right. Because they did all the Magpul stuff, and then Magpul pulled out of Airsoft because of all the counterfeit stuff that was coming out of mainland China, and then kind of left him with that. So yeah, it was like one of those Magpul project things. You're absolutely right, Nathan. Chat. Yeah, you can't slide. No power sliding in Japan. That's true. All right, what else? Outdoors just spam and chill. Yeah, outdoor you can be careful. Like the way where we're gonna play, you gotta watch. You got like the angles are really tough. It's this big where we're gonna be is this big square field. And what they'll do is they'll break the field off into sections. I think you'll play the left half or the right half. And then there's actually a catwalk that runs across the dead center. So like the game organizer's up top on the catwalk. And he's usually up there, like they have a hype guy, is like a radio hype guy. And the hype man is literally like on the mic calling the game. Like I've had this, like I remember this, like I don't know if it's gonna be the same this year as it was in the past, but the hype guy's up there with a megaphone and he's calling the game. So if you're trying to be sneaky and stuff, he's like, "Hey, the guy's over here moving up." I'm assuming that's what he's saying. I don't speak any Japanese, but he's like, "And he's moving up on the right." I'm like, "Bro, why are you giving me away?" You know, it's like he's like hyping the game up, but at the same time, you're kind of being given away. It's fun though. It's super fun. And it kind of builds the tension. So they have the games where, like I said, it's a perfectly square map and it's got like paintball netting and it's all fenced in. It's really well made. A lot of bunkers and buildings and everything's very well kept. And the left side of the field's a lot of like dirt embankments with like raised trenches and things like that. And the right's a lot more buildings. So you kind of have two different sides. So you'll play on one side, you know, team battle up and down. You'll play on the other side, which is more open-ish with a lot of buildings you can move between. And then in between, they have a bunch of like those, what are those things called? They're not called conic. They're called, you know, like the military box they just fill with rock you always see on the base, like the HESCO barriers, like kind of stuff. So I have like a bunch of HESCO stuff down the center, dividing with breaks in between. So when they do open the whole field up for play, you can cross in certain areas, and you can cross back at your spawn. They're open on both sides, and then there's like two or three breaks in the middle you can cross over, and they'll do actually 4 teams. So they'll color code you like red, green, blue, yellow, and they can run like red and blue on one side, and they're going to fight like green and yellow. And then you guys are fighting this way with the divider. You can't cross, so you can't go to the other side. So they can run 2 games at once, but they do like a 4-square game, which is kind of wild, where the teams over here will battle it out. And whoever wins this, whoever's left standing, there might only be like 4 people on this team. And then these 2 teams battle out. There might be like 10 people on this team, whoever won. And then they'll let them go against each other. Like, okay, both sides are open now, and you'll cross battle. So it'll be like red versus green and yellow versus blue. And let's say red over here wins and blue over here wins. Now all of a sudden, whoever's left, it's not like the whole team gets to come back on. Whoever's just left of those 2 battles now has to fight each other. It's pretty cool. It's like kind of a neat thing. So like, you know, you might, and it depends on where you are in the field. So if you beat your other side first, you can kind of get position ready. Like, okay, we're going to get over here on this wall, or we know we can cross here. It's a pretty wild game format, and it lets kind of everybody play. So yeah, so Sabage Airsoft Park, they do have, so that's like the field area. The other side is they have like a tactical range you can like do shooting on. And every year they always do like this driving challenge, and I'm hoping they're going to do it again. They bring out a quad, like one of those military style off-road quad vehicles that seats, I think just this one just seats 2. and it's a timed event where you have a driver and a shooter, and you run this little course where you're like blasting around the course, and the shooter, like, so you pull up and you have to hit like 2 targets, and then they drive the next one, you got to hit like 2 or 3 targets, and you go to the next station, but you're driving it in this quad, and it's wild, man. The driving challenge, yeah, Media-san knows, it gets out of control, especially we have a buddy named Scott. He'll be there again. He's from Scotland. And Scott owns Land Warrior Airsoft, and he is a madman. I think he holds the championship time. He definitely, who is it? Him and Mitch, I think, were playing. Man, they just dominated this thing, like absolutely dominated. He was throwing rocks everywhere. I remember because like the way this area is set up, so like the field's on one side, and then there's like the area they set up for all of the vendors and stuff, and then this is like over on the other side, and everything's still got these catwalks, so you can get all the way up and elevated, and you can look down and observe, right? So we're all up top, you know, cheering everybody on because they're all our friends. And so there's this double area that's kind of divided by this little half net. So like the right side is where people are doing like the range challenge. So it's like a tactical range, and the left side is this driving challenge. And there's like very little separating. I think it's like a mesh fence. Basically, it lets rocks through. So Scott's driving. I remember he comes around that last corner and just, you know, fishtails that thing so he can whip the back around to get to the next station. And there's this guy over there because they have like these old cars. So he's doing like the tactical challenge shooting. There's like a metal car kind of there. And Scott comes blasting around and throws probably, you know, 50 kilos of gravel just in the air right at this poor dude. And I've got it on video somewhere. I'm going to dig through my camera. I know I have this somewhere. He gets just pelted in these rocks. He's like, ah, it's the best. I mean, I feel bad for like whoever that guy was, but it was hilarious to watch. Anyway, so much fun. You get to hear my story. Squad versus squad, SM. Let's see. I would love squad battles. All right. Let's go. Quick question from Selim Key. Okay, this is a good one. Would you like to see more? This is from Selim Key. Would you like to see more or less realistic guns? I realize that because BBs are small and round, you could have some goofy looking magazines and guns to do some really cool stuff. So yeah, this one's interesting because this is kind of what I've been talking about. I think the Maxim 9 is a real one, but it kind of looks a little more goofy. But I would love to see, and this is a talk that Jet and I had the last time I was in the States with him, about seeing more sci-fi based airsoft guns in the world. And I think with issues like C21 in Canada right now, where it's on the verge of potentially being banned, airsoft, and anything that's realistic looking, that the only way to continue this hobby and sport is to get away from realistic looking guns, which is a problem though, because like airsoft is about the realism. I mean, that's really been the core of what it's been since it began. I mean, that's like when you got companies that even predate Tokyo Marui creating these models. I mean, Marui's a model company. So they made functional models so people could own what looked like something real in a country where real gun ownership is not legal. So the core, the base, the heart of what airsoft is the realism. But at the same time, I think with the way laws are shifting and perception of what we do, it wouldn't hurt to have a softer, gentler, sci-fi-ish version of it. And I think that could be really, really cool. I feel like it might be a direction that I don't think our industry needs to totally shift and go to, but I think it could be something that runs parallel. Like, so we're still continuing down. I mean, because licensing and realism and everything's just way too ingrained in what we do. And I think all of us want that realism. But you look at games like Rev, at Bala Hack, and a bunch of other ones where people are like LARPing and having like this amazing, crazy fantasy world, you know, then I think that sci-fi look is pretty cool. There's a one guy, what's the guy's name? I'm sure chat might know, who makes all the Destiny 2 guns in Airsoft. I think that's so cool, right? Like that is a direction I could see Airsoft going parallel to where it is. Not saying let's delete this, but giving people another option, right? Maybe as because Airsoft in America, you can start at a very young age. Maybe parents are a little reluctant because they're like, oh, I don't want my kid running around with, you know, like my 11-year-old son running around with something that looks very real. It could get him in trouble, or his friends might, you know, use it for nefarious purposes, or he may not understand the risks of bringing that in public. But if you have something that's really sci-fi looking, it looks like a, cool Nerf gun or something, then it's a lot less scary, I guess, for the beginner. And as you grow up into the hobby, you can do it. Or this opens up sci-fi games. Now you got all these amazing tracer units you can embed inside of these. So I think it's something that our industry definitely could look into doing. I would love to see some companies get behind it. As for crazy mags, I'll tell you the challenge with this, and I'll kind of tell you why this is a little slow to adopt and why you haven't seen people do it yet, is because of cost of production and development. You have to redevelop everything. You have to create new molds. You have to create new designs, and molding and production cost a lot of money. And then you need somebody who's driving this, willing to say, yes, if you make this, I will buy 1,000 of these so it covers your costs. And I'll buy another 1,000 after that so you can make a profit. And that's really what these factories have to do to be able to cover their mold costs. I mean, they don't recoup their money until after at least the first 1,000 or more are sold. And that's between molding and engineering and design and all that stuff. Of course, inside they're going to take the same parts, but outside still, all those pieces, every little component, every little piece. I mean, even if you look at like, this is the charging case for my DJI mic, right? Like every little piece here is a mold, like mold, like, so they have to make these things and they all cost money and they have to produce enough of them to recoup that money. So yeah, I think that's kind of it. I would love to see more of it. I think it's starting. And I think as there's more, unfortunately, legal restrictions on what we do, that we're going to see more of it. But hopefully, we can see them run parallel. That's it. Kind of my little rant on that one. Let's see. All right. What else? Let me go back through here. Colonial Marine Smart Rifle. I know, right? They actually had that. Who made the Colonial Marine Smart Rifle? It was around forever ago. It was a conversion kit for the Thompson, if I recall correctly. I don't think anybody uses Noah MC. I don't think anybody's used pyro in Japan. I never saw pyro. Hey, Packwolf 445. Let's see. I'm going through chat, catching up with you guys. Video game guns, seal them. I would love to see some video game guns, man. They made a Dominator, which I always looking at the Maxim 9. It looks like a mini Dominator from Psycho-Pass. There's like guys that are modding, but I don't think anybody's made like a video game. When I say video game guns, I think you're talking like Destiny. You're talking like Borderlands or something like that. Yeah, I think I would love to see somebody get behind that. So there is a blunderbuss, I think, and there's been some anime crossover, but it's always real. Like, I know they have the cutlasses from Black Lagoon, Remy's cutlasses. Those are in there. Of course, the Resident Evil stuff, Biohazard, that's in Airsoft. But those are all very realistic Beretta-based stuff. So, yeah, Mayday-san brings another point. He's talking to ZFG Nerd Life. You're right. Like, the players that go to these fields, they know their maps really, really well. And they will, like, I found that if you try to play fast and their reaction time is really good. I think that's the difference in Japan. Like the reaction time of people holding angles. If you step out into a lane, you're getting popped. It's like playing a video game where like your team deathmatch, like let's say I play Destiny 2, right? It's a good thing. If you're going and play competitive and you pop into a lane and there's a guy who's a great sniper, you just stick your head out, you're toast. And that's essentially what happens in Japan. So you kind of got to wait, like you said, wait for that first wave to push. There'll be a group and then you can kind of get a feel of where everybody's hiding and then you can do it. Because I think the game style, because there's no respawn for each match, it lends it, this is the unfortunate side, it lends it, you play your life, and if you're gone, you're gone, so people are a lot more protective, so you do get a bit more camping. So Mark Greensfield, is the GBB Tavor from KWA being sold? I've only seen it in Taiwan stores. I don't know if the GBB Tavor ever made it to the West, and I haven't seen it. I don't even know. Yeah, I don't think they're making that anymore. It might be discontinued. A lot of the stuff, it's weird. Discontinued's a weird word in Airsoft because a lot of companies they work with either, okay, there's two types of companies in Airsoft, in fact, in the manufacturing side. Ones that develop their own projects and release them. And there's other companies that work with licensing companies primarily. Now, both of them can step into the licensing world with, one-off projects. And then these companies can also make their own in-house stuff. But typically companies kind of start following one of those two paths and stick to it, essentially. So you look at G&G, it's all in-house, right? KWA, pretty much all in-house. They don't really do any licensed stuff anymore, even though they did start doing non-licensed stuff and then did a lot of stuff with Humorex, and now not so much anymore by way of licensing. You look at Krytac, they're their own living, breathing entity because they are also a gun company as well with Chris. It's all under the same umbrella, but they still do some other licensings like Beretta, and they also did the P90 project. And now the Maxim one, with Maxim being, I think, their first in-house license, which is pretty cool. So yes, they are following that. They're kind of going down that path. They've evolved that direction somewhat, but I think, I don't know. It's interesting. Like, discontinue is a weird word because you'll see things go away, and then years later they'll just come back because they have the mold still. They have the design. They're like, you know what? This is popular again. I'm going to dig it out. We're going to make some more of these, right? Maybe the production's slowing down. They're in between projects. Let's dig this thing out and make it 500 more. Because like we said before, once you've paid for that mold, essentially, once you've covered your mold cost, you can, basically drop in and have this new thing. And your new one, as long as you're using most of the mold, most of the parts, or you bring back that old one from, discontinued world, it's really just the production cost, and you can make really good profits on that. So I don't know. I wouldn't say no, but Tavor license is a weird one. IWI, who has IWI? Is it? It was with Humorex. It was somebody else for a while. Then it was with Humorex. I don't know who's actively doing. I don't think anybody's really pushing the IWI license right now. Same as that. All right. Going down Blunderbuss, back down, getting caught up on here. I love how Mayday sounds like basically the go-to guy for like Japan Airsoft rules. Why not get a Galil? No, I miss my Galil. I used to have ICS made a really cool Galil. So, love it. Let's see what else. Okay, I will say, Tyler, man, the KWA G36. See, I'm going to tell you right now, that probably was the best shooting out of the box AEG I've ever owned. I totally regret getting rid of that thing. The KWA, man, I'm telling you, that was back when it was the old school KWA crew there too. That was like, basically it's all the Krytac guys were there at that point in time. They just made that thing so perfect. It absolutely, back when G36s were like the coolest thing, this thing came out and it shot laser beam straight. It was like awesome out of the box. It's just like you couldn't do it anything wrong. It was just so perfect. And it was licensed and everything was great. And that was kind of like the pinnacle of that. And I think after that, I don't really even know of any project or very many projects that Humorex is doing licensing like the HK stuff with KWA anymore. Yep, the G2, the 2GX gearbox, G36C, yes. And I remember it was like, that was like the pinnacle of G36s. And then after that, the G36, like a few years later, became like, I don't know how it happened, but it became like the noob gun. Like, it was like so there was other people making like knockoff versions and all the other ones out there. Somehow, some way, it was not the KWA, because the KWA was like premium. It was too good. But like the G36 always was like, the new player would come to the field with like, I got a nuke, and it's always the G36. It was always the G36 was like the new player gun. But it was good, okay? So it was smallish, solid, easy to get a battery in relatively. You just put it in that front handguard. The mags were huge, and you could clip them together. So if you got two high caps, like what, 500 rounds or something almost per mag. So you could like clip the two mags and have 1,000 rounds and run around with it. Yep. It was a G36 or MP5. MP5 for noobs was before, and then it became the G36. And it was the G36 for so long, and now you don't see any of them anywhere. But that was like ultimately like, I'm telling you, in the States, and this is like late, 2009, 10, 11, 12, somewhere in there. You would always see like the new players running around with them. It's like, it was guaranteed. Paintball mask, hoodie, and they didn't have to have any gear at all because you just clipped 2 of those mags together, you filled them up, and you could see how many BBs she had left because the mags were kind of translucent, and it was just like the perfect, and they were real easy to lock in, the mags. It was like the perfect gun. Yeah, okay, so it made sense saying like the recoil shock G36. This is the unique Japan market, because I don't think you're going to be able to get that outside of Japan, or at least outside of Asia, because now with the way licensing have gone, it's really locked down. Like no one's wanting to even risk carrying this kind of stuff. You can probably ship it in like individual one-off if you're outside of Japan, or you're in a country that doesn't really have a lot of licensing requirements. But yeah, let's see. I missed that, man. I wish somebody had that. All right, ZG Nerd Life. What are your thoughts on the AR-47 SR-47 platform? Okay. The only company to do it right has been Krytac with theirs. That's it. The biggest problem, and I take that back. Up until this last year, the only company, I actually got to put this video out too. Evic has one they did in-house. It's like a platform like that. What was the Evic one I did a video on? I have to go back. I was there at Evic and I filmed a little micro review on one. They have one of their in-house licenses. It was really, I think SEMA made it. And I was like really impressed. The problem with, up until Krytac solving it with theirs, and then this one I saw that was SEMA, was the AR SR-47 platform is, or it's the SEMA, yeah. The SEMA MK-47, I think is what it is. I know his was bad, but this is a different one. This is like the deluxe version I was using. I think Jet had a video he did on it. The problem with these things is you put the magging. So what they are is they're an AR platform, like an M4, but then they take an AK mag, right? Which is great because you get this massive magazine, right? You get like 500 plus rounds. If you're a high cap, even mid caps are a lot higher. So it's kind of a cool best of both worlds, but it ends up until the last, like up until Krytac's, the worst of both worlds, because the way the mag works in that body, when you lock it in, everybody's AK mag is different. They're all different specs. So you have to buy, first off, just the company that made its mag. And even then, make sure you get the same variant that came with the box, because even those, the specs are different. So when you lock it in, the mag itself just like, it wobbles like this. It's so bad. They're so terrible. KWA fixed that. Or I'm sorry, Krytac fixed that. And then SEMA also fixed that issue. It's a cool looking platform, but you end up with more compromises than benefits. And that's across the entire range. And it's no fault of who makes it. It's the fault of the original design. In the real world, you get basically a bigger bullet. So on a familiar platform, so it makes a lot of sense for someone who's using this as a tool for their job, whatever it may be. But in Airsoft, you just don't get any of those benefits, right? You're still shooting a 6mm BB. It's still a piece of plastic, and you're getting all the negatives to go along with it. So, and yeah, it's a tough one, man. I would say as much as I think it's a cool thing, it's very specific use. And it's very, a lot of compromises come along with it. So Paul Delaney, I never see the VFC in use. You're talking about the MP7? Would you rather have a KWA or VFC MP7? So I'll say this. I'll even, because I know Paul's going to maybe answer this one. I like the VFC because it's the real size. I've got one in the closet right there. The GBB's pretty good. I like it. It's a little lighter. The KWA, I think, has been out for so long. It's just solid. The early KWAs had a hop-up bucking swell issue, which a lot of KWA gas blowbacks have. Not a problem, but I tell you, swapping a hop-up bucking on an MP7, period, regardless of who makes it, is an exercise and just frustration. It's such a nightmare to get that thing apart. That said, I had the KWA for a long time. I loved it. It shot great. Sure, the hop and bucking swole. I got a new one in there, no problem. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's smaller. So if you want realistic, it's not realistic. It's like 20 something % smaller than the actual real one. because they built it off the Marui system, which was also too small. They kind of used that as because nobody really knew what a real one looked like. So if you want to get the full size one, you end up with the VFC one. The VFC one, I like the GBB personally. The AG is good, and if you get one of the newest ones, you're fine. You got the early ones, they had a issue with air seals. It really is with the tappet plate, the air nozzle coming off the tappet plate, the way it was designed. So let me see. G&G gearbox. I don't have any. I have no experience with the new G&G gearbox system. All right, Jalu. Okay, here. Oh, going back to molding. Any words of wisdom for an AUG build, good stock AUG? I was disappointed to find out the only available AGs are the same ones that have been out for the last decade. Yeah, you're gonna have to do some real scraping and upgrading. My AUG days were the days of Classic Army. I think they make a really good one. But they're gone. You can't get any more. I think if you're going to get one, I would probably just go straight for Marui if you can get a hold of one. If you can't get a Marui, you're kind of stuck with what ASG's been releasing. Their JG platform, they're not bad. I mean, like anything like this, any build project, you're probably going to just look at the shell. I feel like Classic Army, if you can find an old Classic Army, you're great. But I feel like they have some of the better bodies, and I really feel like Marui even has a better body. Start with that. Some pro tips on the AUG. So back where the battery compartment is, the stock, you take that little rubber butt pad off, right? And your battery goes in there in that little vertical space. There's a plate in there. You take 2 screws, take it out, and you can slide the mech box out. Just slides right out. Super easy. There's like nothing holding that in except for this plastic plate in there with 2 screws. So once you slide that out, inside the body, because it's this big hollow plastic body, right? Get some Dynamat. And it's the stuff that people who do car tuning, like do like the putting like subwoofers and like a lot of big car audio upgrades. It's this like sticky piece of material. It's like really sticky. It's kind of dense, and it's got like a foil coating on one side. It's super sticky on the other. You peel it off. Figure out the space. There's usually like reinforcement in there. It's like a kind of a triangle about yay big. You'll cut a piece of that Dynamat. So use a sheet of paper to draw the diagram or how the size of what it'll fit inside the little baffle area. And you're going to cut 2 pieces. You're going to put them in the inside of the back of your AUG. So, like I said, take the cap off, take the plate out, slide the gearbox out, figure the spaces, cut 2 pieces of Dynamat to go in and in. This stuff, it's a sound deadening material. It also helps with reverberation, because what happens is, what I don't like about the AUG is when you have the AUG, the gearbox is literally right in your ear because it's back in the back of the stock. So when you're shooting on like an M4, it's at least in front of you. This one's in your ear, so the herd level of sound, the sound volume is so much louder, and it's because in that whole plastic body, it kind of amplifies it too. It has like a resonance chamber effect. So the best thing to do is add those Dynamats in there, and it makes a massive difference in the herd sound and the resonance of that, and it's going to make your game, it's going to make your life a lot better. You'll be able to hear the enemies better, because if you're firing, you've got a gearbox literally in your ear. That's the biggest downside with the AUG I've found. So if you do that, you're going to be in a better spot. And you can do the same with the P90 too. You can put them inside the P90. But, yep. Got him, Rui. Made a sign. High cycle. You return it quickly. Yeah. The semi contacts. All right. On AUGs, if you start shooting in semi-auto with an AUG, you're going to burn your contacts out. I went through my CA one, because it was one of my early high-end builds I did. I did a Classic Army AUG, and it was an A1 version, the green with the fixed scope added to it. And you will burn out, the way the design of the trigger system, you're going to burn out your trigger. Just guaranteed. Guaranteed. Just get ready for it. Just get ready to buy new ones. So that's just kind of the beast of an AUG. I don't know why. It's kind of like just always burn out the trigger contacts. I had that thing built to like, it's back when we had no limit games. I was shooting like 500 with a 2.0 with this thing. And I'd put one of those phantom AUG kits on there, those really crazy long suppressors. And then I had like a 605 or 650. Was it a 650 or 6? I had the PSG 1 length inner barrel AEG. The longest inner barrel you could possibly do. And I still had like that much space in there. It was crazy. I had like a volume up cylinder. I had everything. So Yeah, I'm curious about G&G. Like they've had some. Okay, so D Moose, he said it's on G&G's YouTube talking about the new G&G gearbox. They've G&G has had some like really good hits and a few misses. Lately they've been hitting the hits, so I'm curious. I'd like to see it for sure. His eyes like the paintball gun and split me eyes. What is this? Let me go back through here. Go back in chat. Looking. QBB. Let me go on. Let me go on back a little deeper. By the way, talked about video game guns, talking about airsoft in Japan. Okay, so let's go back to that original question way up top. Let me see. And that was Paul. So, Paul, we're going to talk about somebody's literally doing construction outside my door. So, Paul, he was talking about actually an airsoft. Let me close this door. Bring that sound down a little bit. Talking about knee aches and things hurting in airsoft and all that. And it kind of goes into a bigger question about airsoft. And let me see if first off, before we get to this question, let me try to get this memory card in this camera. I don't know why it's not fitting. Oh, and now it's going to fit just perfectly. Yeah, thanks. It's because we're on channel. It's like, all right, I'm not going to, so we're live. We're not going to do anything. I'm going to record this one. Oh, let me turn on the mic though. Hang on. I want to kind of get some of these questions so we can start answering them for real. Where's my mic? Oh, I had it in front of me talking to you guys. And thanks for being patient. You get to see all this stuff live. By the way, for those who joined last week, did you watch the Monday show afterwards, after I chopped it like way down and cut so much out? I don't know if it's probably the first time you've ever seen like what a recording looks like and then what it looks like on the back end when it's all done. All right, let me see. Get this mic on and we'll talk about this. Double up. Yeah, in-pass. I'm telling you, man, the in-pass system should be standard on almost everything. Nerd life, brother. I wish I had a better answer for you. There is no way to lower that without the low power bolt on a kit, and they do shoot pretty hot too. It's the thing. The KW MP7 shoot like 4-ish sometimes. So yeah, it's a tough one, man. That one you got to have the low power bolt. They don't do a variable like in-pass, like a variable FPS system. You can kind of put something down usually it's down the barrel. You can make an adjustment. I think some companies make floating valves. Look for like a KWA MP7 floating valve. All you really need is that floating valve in there, and it will change your power. They might have low flow, like gas valves you could swap out. I don't know. I haven't really dug into that. It's been a long time. All right, let's look. Power mic on. Let's get this one on. Cool, and I'll get the recording going. Oh, the Sega 12 is fake news? Oh. Oh, no. Jar's asking, optical MOSFETs. Jury's still out for me for optical MOSFETs. I'm curious. I don't know. It depends on the gearbox design. Some of those gearboxes don't tend very well for optical MOSFETs because if they're slinging a little bit of that lube out there. I don't know. All right. Get that. Mic's going. Camera's running. There we go. Now we're doing full record. All right. So I'm going to go back to Paul's question. We're going to talk about this. And Synkwolf, I'll talk about your question too. I see you up here too. Where are you, Paul? Here you go. So Paul Delaney is asking about someone in their 40s or just a little older age about having issues with knee and hip. What tips do you have to keep in the game as age starts to take its toll? So this is kind of something I've been wanting to talk, and kind of one of the themes I want to cover in this show is basically the like fitness and airsoft and how much it impacts your ability to play. I know a lot of players, like even me, for the longest time, airsoft was like the only real exercise I got. I used it as kind of my get off the couch, get out of the office, do stuff, and go get some exercise, some activity. Now, as I've moved up in age, I'm no longer the early 30s airsoft guy. I'm now the mid 40s airsoft guy. I find that I'm spending a lot of time in the gym these days. And to Paul's thing, I've had some knee issues from like injuries early on in life and things like that kind of creeped up, back stuff. A lot of that for me has been fixed through slowly but surely going to the gym and strengthening those muscles. So as an older guy in airsoft, which I'm definitely in that category, so I'm going to lose all the younger players that are watching right now, is yes, I think fitness and doing some level of strength training is important. As we all get older, even in mid 20s, once you get to 30, even things start to break down. You're no longer as agile and as quick as someone in their teens or even early 20s. So I feel like there is, from me, at least my perspective, and I'm curious what chat is going to be talking about here, that there is a need for, at least for me, a level of baseline fitness. For me to enjoy the game, for me to be able to play as hard as I want to play, I need to have a little bit of cardio in my daily diet, I guess, or at least my weekly, go out, do some cardio, do some strength training. So I'm in a better position physically to enjoy when I go play airsoft and to be able to keep up with the way I like to play. That said, if you'd like to sit in the back, cover angles, be the the backfield guy for your team when you play, then I think fitness means less than that. It's less important because you're not up in the middle or even in the front running forward, pushing things forward. But I will say this, at a Milsim event, and we talked about this I did a video and I asked everybody in chat after the video and after who watched it about the mistakes that new players make. It's a video I put up a few weeks ago on the channel that a lot of people brought up fitness. And when you go to a Milsim op, when you go to a bigger game, this is when fitness really does matter. I see a lot of people either heat stroke out, but that's more management. That's usually when they're wearing all the heavy gear. They want to look the part. It's hot out and they don't have the level of fitness and hydration they need. Hydration is also important, but that's not what we're going to discuss here. From a fitness standpoint, I see a lot of people, like, you get halfway through the first day, you can really pick out the guys that are at least doing some sort of physical fitness outside of just playing airsoft on the weekends, and then the ones that aren't. Because you will see the players that are in the game that are playing, especially me being a YouTube guy, I have to keep a level of fitness because I get one shot to do my filming, right? I have to stay in the game all day. I need to, because I've got to get all the opportunity I possibly can to get those cool moments when you're playing airsoft. You need every single one you can jam into a video, because you can't script that. You have to go out and play and hope you do good and hope the squad or the team you're with is cohesive and you're in the right place at the right time. So for me, fitness is incredibly important. Back then, I tried to stay in. I did a lot of hiking, which helped from an endurance standpoint, and then some like cardio, but I didn't really do a lot of strength. Look at guys like Alphonse, man. He's like strength. I mean, he's one arm in a 249, right? Or an MG4. He's definitely got the full strength. But I really feel like if you're going to be going to a Milsim op, you need to have a level of physical fitness. And I see a lot of guys that don't, and they're typically the ones that are having a bad time. You can just see it. Like, they're just not enjoying themselves. And then when you spend that kind of money, like let's say you go to Copperhead, right, for American Milsim, it's in the middle of the desert, so you got to usually fly or drive there for a long time. Get a hotel if you're not going to stay on site. Take time off work. Do all these things. Bring all your expensive gear. Get it all right. Pay the ticket. It's big money just for you to be out after 3 or 4 hours. So I feel like there is a level of fitness that needs to be in airsoft. I'm not saying we should have a basic baseline fitness or whatever, but I think for you to enjoy yourself, it's pretty important. So that's just kind of my thought on it. And now, as for an older guy, I really find strength training does help. The more you train those little muscles and stuff, I found that, I'm not saying go crazy, don't try to power lift, but it's helped me fix a lot of those. I was like, I've just got a bad knee. Well, I don't anymore, because I've just kind of stayed at a nice, and I eased myself in slowly but surely, and it's been better. Go get checked out. Make sure you don't have a tear first. just go to a doctor, make sure, have them do an x-ray, make sure things are okay. But yeah, I think that doing some sort of physical fitness, just get in the gym, do some leg stuff, do some arm stuff, do just the basics a couple times a week just to even get started. It's going to help you a lot, really. It really will. Especially because when you go out and play airsoft, you're throwing all this extra weight on you. You're putting like 5, 10, 12 kilos of extra weight, or, 30 pounds or whatever of extra weight on you. And it puts a lot of toll on everything. So you really need to kind of remember that when you're playing in a different state than your normal time, normal, without wearing a gear is. So anyway, physical fitness to me is pretty important, especially as I age up. I kind of want to be in better shape so I can enjoy these events I get to go play, like Japan coming up soon. All right, let's see what chat's been doing since that. Oh, got Noah talking to FOV down there. I got to get to Miami Airsoft. I keep seeing all the videos from Miami Airsoft. Yep, D-Moose, fitness and nutrition are the two. Yes, nutrition too, man. D-Moose, awesome point. I see guys out there, they'll go have like breakfast and they'll just go play all day. And that's it. I'm like, you realize how many calories you're burning out there running around with all your gear on? Like, and these guys just, they get like, see, like they get foggy, they dizzy, like eyes are all like, like out of it because they've burned up all their energy. They have like your blood sugar is like crashing. They have nothing left in their body. Like I'm constantly like, I always bring like nuts and jerky and like fruit and all kinds of stuff. And I always bring some candies out there in the field, or like those Gatorade little gummy things, anything to real help. Lots of like salt, hydration. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff. My gosh. No, I can't bring my Kythera. For where? Japan? When? Oh, you talking about? Oh, Noah's talking about FOV in Miami. So, but yeah, D-Moose, total good point. X-Fog. Oh my gosh, this is a question that always pops up. Fogging and goggles. Yeah, ESS turbofans. A lot of there's a lot of aftermarket fans you can get in the paintball world. I would look, if you guys want good goggles, look into paintball world. Vulcan makes some good stuff. They're dual pane thermal ones, but if you're wearing glasses, it's going to be a tough one. But I think anything like the dual pane stuff, which is what Pyramex, I think, is the OEM for those, which they do really good stuff. I think they make Vulcans. They also the factory behind ASG's goggles. I use Pyramex goggles for a lot of my stuff because they're like the price, like the Vulcan stuff, price performance, things like that, really good. It gives you, some fields require a strap. Like in Japan, by the way, for those watching that are coming, you got to have a strap on your goggles. Remember that. Yes, the turbofans have been good, but I'll tell you, my experience with turbofans is the fan just doesn't last. Every single pair I've owned, the fan's always pooped out on me. So, but if you do that, I would look at paintball stuff. I would look at like maybe getting paintball masks, something's like dual pane, so like a dye or Tepman or something like that. And then also at the same time, look at adding a fan to them, which you can do. So let's see. Vent. GBBR, okay. GBBR is fun. And I absolutely think, and I agree with you. Okay, so Vent, I'm totally not anti-GBBR. I love GBBR. I got one right in the closet over here, actually. I've got I got a URGI from VFC, M4. But I will say this, if you want to be competitive, especially in US Airsoft, if you want to be competitive, you're at a massive disadvantage, especially indoors, if you're going to run a GBBR. That said, to your point, the DMR, or doing like an infantry rifle, if you're playing that role, then oh yeah, then it's different. Now we're talking different game, right? If you're doing a DMR type role, then for sure. I think that's solid for that. I think that's a really good solution. And SMGs, I think submachine guns work really good. Like the small compact stuff for gas is really good too. I still think you can't fit a really effective gearbox, AEG gearbox, in something that small. And there's a lot of fantastic ones. You know what? I'll tell you, the MP9 is still probably the best shooting by KWA. But are they still going to make that thing with everything that's happened with B&T? I don't know. Yeah, and no, yeah, exactly. Vent, no DMRs in Japan. Also, the problem with GBBRs in Japan, here's the deal too. There's to give you into politics a little bit. There, so Japan's trying to get rid of 134A, which is understandable because it has environmental concerns. The gas, propellant gas that they use in Japan, it's not green gas, and it's not CO2. It's just 134A. So it's actually a refrigerant. It actually does have some negative effects on the environment. So rightfully so, they're trying to get rid of it, and it makes sense. So the problem is there are two camps of manufacturers in Japan that are trying to find a solution. Camp A is Camp Green Gas. Camp B is Camp CO2. And they're both trying to settle on a standard, and they're battling each other. And there's some big companies behind each side. I think even in my mind, CO2 is gonna be your better bet, at least for me. If you can, the problem is though, you have to build CO2, which is, if you look at like the 134A, or the low power gas, the one that Japan uses, I think it's like 80 psi or 90 psi at room temp. Green gas is about 120, 130 psi at room temp. CO2 is like 800 psi in that little power lead. So you have to downgrade that power level to get it to a level that works in a sub 1 joule pistol. Remember, and if it's a pistol, it has to have a plastic slide in Japan by law. Their law doesn't allow for metal slides for actual using. I think collectors maybe can have metal slide pistols, but actually, if Airsoft, you can't like actually go out and play. It has to be a plastic slide. Now, that's kind of like the weird rule. So now you have this really powerful power level. You have a plastic slide, which is lightweight, and then you combine that with a very, low joule rating, sub 1 joule, like 200, under 300 feet per second. So it's really tough from an engineering standpoint to make those three things work together, right? So you're like, oh, well, if it's just you need more power going back, you can route the power so the slide kicks harder. Well, it's a plastic slide, it'll break, right? Oh, well, if I put too much power down the barrel, then it shoots too hard, right? Also, from temperature standpoint, been in Japan, Japan's gonna be like highs, like they're saying average high in November is like 17°C, lows like 10, so it's lows in the 40s, highs in like the 60s for Fahrenheit for you guys in the States. Green gas starts to get a little in the 50s, right? And you want CO2. I think for year-long play, CO2 makes a lot more sense. So that's the problem also too. Like there's this battle of what's the replacement gas in Japan. So let's see. Yeah, I've heard your app, man. I'm telling you, I think honestly, the shortage of GBBR mags is everybody in Asia sucks them up before they get to go anywhere. And a lot of dealers in the West don't want to carry them because they don't carry the gun that goes with it. So they don't think that they need the mags when the mags show up. And when the mags show up, they just get bought up here. Like all the distributors are like, yes, we'll take them. And then they sell them. Like, because they sell quick. I just think the honest thing is it's the supply is getting grabbed up in Asia. And it never leaves Asia. I think if you're in the West, you don't even get a chance to get your hand out to get a hold of one. And that's the problem. So Daytona, oh man, Daytona guns, we need it. Yes, for sure. The B&T question, B&T SPR is coming out by Archwick. Yeah, they announced it. So Upside Airsoft, yes, I will, as soon as that B&T SPR, I've been following that. I know the guys at Archwick really well. The two guys that are behind the company, the engineer and the sales kind of, the two brains that are behind it. It's coming soon. I've seen it in stages along the way, and I will keep you posted on that. As soon as I can get a hold of one, you're going to see it for sure. I'm guessing if we're going to see something that's final, like ready to go, MOA shows coming up. A lot of the companies here in Taiwan are holding out for that. MOA is the first weekend in December this year. It's been announced, and I'll be covering it with media coverage here. So my guess is you're going to see it there is when you're going to see all these finals for sure. So if I can get a video on it, I sure as heck will. I know a lot of people are waiting. I think the SPR 300 is pretty cool because it's the right size sniper platform for me. Like a lot of sniper rifles are just big, right? They're massive. And this thing's like, and I love it. I think it's perfect. So as soon as it comes out, I'm excited for it. Really excited for it. And knowing Archwick, they do a lot of like, everything's like pre-upgraded. So it should be pretty freaking cool. Yeah, I had to order from Red Wolf. Right. Yeah, Dawson, exactly, man. GHK mags. You have, if you want, I'm gonna tell you right now, if you're looking for gas mags, order in Asia. It's the only way. It's the only way you can do it. Sorry. I mean, I wish I could tell you the West, like, it's just not, they're not gonna get there. They won't. They're all gonna get grabbed up here. So yeah, you have to. So look at the Hong Kong shops. A lot of them will ship. Don't worry, no problem. Shipping will be a little, price is a little cheaper, but shipping will eat you alive. Um, on the SPR, I don't know who's going to do that. Honestly, I don't know who's going to do the 300. So we'll see who's going to run the SPR 300. I don't know if it's going to be me or not on that, to be honest with you. Let me see. Squad Gym House Squads. Yeah, I'm telling you. Let's see. Oh, I'll try to look for like PP2K mags. I know, right? And a lot of these companies also, I think I've talked about this. What'll happen is if it's a commissioned project, meaning it's not the factory making it for themselves. Let's say it's like a SIG or somebody or HK or whatever. They're doing like, hey, I want you to make this platform, this gas platform. They'll say, okay, well, let's get 1,000 pistols and we'll do like 1,500 magazines, and that's it. There's like 1.5 extra mags, right? So you get the one that comes with the pistol and you get 1.5 extra mags. So think about how many mags somebody's going to buy. Like they don't ever order enough. Like it should be like 3 or 4 mags to everyone. But I've never seen a company in all of my time out here where I've been able to see purchasing and get an idea of how companies buy, like Western companies or any companies, or they do production. I've never seen a company make like 4 mags for every one product they've made that takes mags. It just doesn't. And then you think about it, like if you're going to make, let's say a primary or even an SMG, like you want at least 3 mags, at least to be effective, if not 4. And they never make that many. They always use 2 to 1. So they make the product and then 2 extra mags, max, and that's it. So there's never even enough made. EBBs, I don't know, man. I think electric blowbacks are like the worst of both worlds versus the best of both worlds, to be honest. Yeah. American, what was it? The American Airsoft Factory? That's a tough one. All right, what was that? Let me see. Go back to that question on that. Where was that? Yeah. The American Airsoft. Where was that question? Here's it. American Airsoft. Yeah, it's D-Moose. I never got to play with the American Airsoft Factory stuff. That is going to be tough. If you guys want to do an American Airsoft thing, the American Airsoft, if you want to build something in the States, it's just not going to be cost effective. You got to bring the parts in. Shipping right now is savage to get things in. Then you have to pay somebody on the state side to build it and put it together and all that. I mean, it's like from a cost standpoint, it's going to be off the charts. I mean, the only thing you could really do effectively is CNC level stuff and be competitive in price. And that's why you see all the HPA guys in the States, Polar Star, Wolverine, those guys are all building them out. JG Snipes. Where'd it go? Oh, JG Snipes. You mean this? You didn't see anything there. I'm working on the video. I got to do some like chrono and stuff like that, and then I'll be done. So the video will be up this week. And we're going to have, for those that join late, we're going to have Tim from Krytac on next week as our guest on the show here. So start thinking about your Krytac questions. We're going to be shifting back to our normal day. So it's going to be back to Wednesdays again instead of Tuesdays. So if you guys want to have a question, anything you want to talk about with Krytac, have at it. They're on the show next week. He's going to be joining us. It's going to be great. So that ICS Tomahawk, I know I saw that. I don't know, man. ICS Tomahawk's like, again, is it solving a problem or is it just gimmicky? I got to see one. I got to get a hold of one. I need to reach out to the ICS guys. GBLS, man. I'll tell you, if it does come to like GBLS is cool. I think FOV, you're right. When you look at EBB, electric blowback, for those that don't know, it's an AEG gun, but it has a blowback feature to it. GBLS is cool, but it kind of gives you the closest thing I would say to an electric gas blowback rifle. It kind of checks all the boxes I think it's a really good training rifle. It's crazy expensive. But again, competitive wise, if you want to play anything outside of a Milsim, you're at a big disadvantage again. That's the problem. So I will tell you guys this on JG Snipes on the Krytac Maxim 9. This is the, I'll give you guys a sneak peek. This is the coolest part. For those who have eyes, look at the magazine. Does this magazine look familiar to anybody? This design, this style? Obviously the valves moved up here. By the way, this is also made of aluminum. It weighs nothing. This is the lightest. This is so crazy. At first I thought it was like plastic, but that design of that mag might look familiar, like a standard that is used in different. Yes, Sean, you might be right on that. Very, as in is. So pretty cool that they went with something standard. So I'll give you, that's my little sneak, my little, for those of you that joined me here on the live stream. Yeah, LCT doesn't make it. Yeah. LCT, Apex Airworks, LCT doesn't make any GBB stuff. They all do AG. LCT is pretty cool, man. I did a video years ago at their factory. They do more in-house than any other manufacturer I've ever seen. I mean, they have like a welding machine in-house, like a robotic welder. They make more of the parts of their product in-house than I think any other factory here does. They rely less on sub-vendors. It's pretty cool. So I need to reach out. Yeah, ICS always made some good stuff. Like really some good stuff. I need to reach out to them and ask about that Tomahawk. So let's see. C21. Hey, what's going on with that? By the way, let me ask, because I saw that pop up in chat earlier. Falco. So what's going on with C21? When is that? Like, what's the status of C? Because I haven't been able to follow this as much as I wanted to. I know it's somewhere like everybody's kind of like, what's going on with this? Is it getting close to being debated? Like, is it being debated today? Is it, what's the timeline on C21? Which is, if you guys also know, C21 is the airsoft bill in Canada that might end airsoft. So it's a pretty big deal. It's a really big deal. No. Yeah, I think really when it comes to GBB right now, TM has I think TM's taken the top spot when it comes to like platforms. Honestly. But yep, what else? We're going to wrap up here soon. GHK makes a pretty good one too. Okay, so it's right now, right now, Falco. Okay. So. Let's see. I need to look. I need to get in there. I'll watch that after this is over because it seems I'm scared. I know a lot of the companies I work with have been helping out from. It seemed favorable for a little while. They were doing a lot of lobbying, and then it became a little different. Yeah. So the whole idea is the push at C21 is they're trying to, the goal would be to be more of a US level adoption of rules like orange tips, things like that, and break airsoft out. So hopefully, I hope airsoft can stay alive, man. I really do. Yeah. Okay. So Powered by Satan. Yeah. Okay. This one, I know because I talked to Jet when he was interviewed by Vice, and I want to check. I've not had to watch. I started to watch part of it. I watched like the first few minutes, and I think I got distracted. So I need to finish that documentary from Milsim West. Let's see. Yeah. So Hopper said lobbying. Yeah, that's it. Lobbying's all pushing for like a U.S. hybrid U.S. UK type platform, which I think is once you put that kind of regulation around it, I feel like there's enough of a safety net that it won't be attacked again, and that's the real thing. Clear my throat. Oh wow. So yeah, I'm hopeful. I'm really, you don't want to see anything like that. Oh my gosh. Travis writes, what's my opinion on Daniel Defense Airsoft? It depends on, there's like so many DDs. Like which version of it? the VFC version. They, you know, like there's like 8 different companies I think that make a DD now. Because Evic has different companies that are making it for them. So it depends on specifically which one you're talking about, and then we can discuss which one. Losing my voice. Let's see. Going back up. Do you ever get a gun's personality with paint or Cerakote? Keithan Blackman. I used to. I used to like go and do like crazy paint jobs and all kinds of stuff on mine. I had some Cerakoted once. I did a lot of that kind of stuff. But now, with how, with product reviews and always rotating in and out what I have and things like that, I don't really paint or give my personality anymore. I mean, I do accessorize them. Like, I totally have like accessories I'll move to like my fave and the one I have. But for the most part, I won't. I don't have. I don't. I have too many in my catalog to do it. Plus, living here in Asia, it's a lot harder to get somewhere where I can do painting and do those kind of things. There's not a lot of open space. Everybody lives in apartment style living here, like period. Like you don't have a house, you don't have a garage, you don't have a backyard. Like those things just don't exist here at all in Taiwan. So it's a lot harder for me to do it. Let's see. Oh, that's a tough one. I'm not even trying to do your name. U83RH. Yeah, you whatever. Sorry, man. You have a really long name. So U80. I'll call you U83. If I had to choose between a VFC and a Krytac, and I couldn't upgrade, which one would I choose? Oh man, I would have to. I don't know, man. That's a tough one. That's a really hard one because. Like both are great. They're really solid out of the box. If I would say, golly, it depends on the gun. I mean, we're talking about a Vector? Or are we talking about like a 416? I mean, that's a really hard one. Like this is so hard for me to say which one. Cause like when I look at like the top tier of Airsoft, like those are the two. It's very dependent on the model. Yeah. I mean, really dependent on the model. I mean, I would have I would say like, if I'm looking for like a base M4, I'd probably lean toward VFC. Oh, I don't know. If I'm looking for something special, I would definitely go Krytac because then you end up with like a Vector, right? Which is so awesome. Like just so well made. It's like a tank. They're, or the P90. Their P90 is awesome too. They're killing it there. If I wanted like something more base model, I'd probably would lean toward VFC there. But then you got like an M4. If it's M4 platform, I'd probably lean toward VFC. Non M4, I'd probably lean toward Krytac. It's just really hard though. But like you're talking like like 9.5 and out of 10 for this 9.5 and like 9.4, 9 point. They're talking about like decimal points. We're not talking about major numbers. We're not about like we're talking like point something difference between the two. So you can't go wrong. So, and of course, yeah, I mean, come on, BCM, man, I do distribute. I can't like blatantly go, yeah, it's my own thing. But I got to be honest with you guys. Like, I got to be truly honest. Like, they're both really good. Like, if BCM ended up being, if like BCM was released as the Krytac, I'd be equally as happy with it as VFC. They both have been awesome. So it's like, I like really, for real. Timu's, unless Uncle Alan's watching, it's hilarious. Nelson, what's up, man? We were just talking about you, man. Like, if you scroll back up in chat, everybody's asking about when the SPR 300 is coming out, man. Let's see if we can get Nelson to answer us. He's in chat. He's the I'm gonna totally call him out. He's like low key. Nelson's the boss of Archwick, and he's in our chat. Throwing under the bus here because you're jumping on late, Nelson. So Nelson, SPR 300. I was telling him we'll probably know and find out at MOA is my guess. So you can feel free to confirm or throw in some more info. The bosses, yeah. I just called him out. He's like, damn, I can't even be like low key now. Let's see. Let's go back through chat real quick. US rigging be questions. Yeah, I know, Tim. I could get into a whole story about U.S. I think there's the U.S. China / Taiwan thing. There is, you got to say, Well, there you go. By the way, real quick, the boss just answered. Yes, production one's ready around MOA. Production one's ready by MOA. There you go. There's your answer from the man himself. There you go. There is some merit, obviously, to the stress between Taiwan, China, US. But there's also a lot of hype and rhetoric living here. I think it's filtered a little differently. So I hate to say that sometimes the Western news blows it up a little bigger than it should be. But living here, it's not as bad as it sounds. Now, if things do get bad, of course, for sure. But I really like it here. I want to try to stay. So, yeah. So Airsoftology, like asking Apex about VFC's hop ups. I know. Okay, I can tell you this. I know they are working on something. That's the most I can tell you. So if you're not, something's coming. That said, I think there's some good aftermarket stuff coming because VFC. If you guys don't realize, VFC's hop up chamber, because of the air nozzle design and the hop up, a lot of aftermarket hop ups don't work. Like you can't just drop a max in there and go. So you can't do the normal upgrade path for hop up upgrades. So there are some third party ones that are on the way. I don't want to give away any press releases or releases that I know about ahead of time. Let me clear. So yeah, stay tuned on that. And I think that in-house, there's some things coming too. By the way, love you, Nelson. Thanks for the answer. MOA show is the first weekend in December. Let me open up my calendar. That would be exactly December 2nd, 3rd, and 4th is MOA show here in Taiwan. Let's see. What else? What do we miss? Yeah, shipments overseas. For sure, if you're shipping from companies over here, get it insured. Toxic Gamer, we'll kind of wrap with this one. What company's license would I like to see? One, more B&T. Two, I don't know. Who's one we haven't had? They're almost all taken. All right, I got one for you. Geissele. I would love to see Geissele represented in Airsoft. We'll see. I love that one. That'd be a good one. Yep, Vent. Rust-Oleum's it, man. Well, Timberwolf did their thing. I think Timberwolf license is living with... I don't know if Red Wolf has that. It used to be Jag. So... Yep. Oh, Nelson's got a cue. What's your question, Nelson? Let's look. Yeah, Rust-Oleum. I've always used Rust-Oleum chemicals. I think Jet did a really good video on how to paint your gun a long time ago. Going back. Yeah, I know FFV, man. I'll need to come. I'll be back. Okay, I will be back in the States at the end of this year. And I'll be in Nashville. Oh, Q the brand. Yes. Because, yeah, Q the brand would be good. That'd be a good one to have. Forget about those guys. What, do the honey badger for real? Didn't that Q has a honey badger, right? I think so. Let's see. All right, I think we're pretty good. I think we're all wrapped up here. Oh. I haven't seen a VFC. No, I haven't seen a VFC M27 in a long time. I'm not sure if they're going to make those anymore. Kind of a weird place. And I think it's getting replaced anyway in the most of the military with the SIG stuff. So Falco does the new Krytac mag. I think the Krytac mags for the P90s are TM spec. So I've not tried to put it in a Cybergun one, but I mean, technically it is Cybergun because they have the license. I don't know if it's interchangeable with the previous ones, but I think they followed Marui spec. I don't know. I don't have Alan or anybody in chat, but I can ask. You know what? Save that question for next week when Tim's here. So, yeah. Yeah. So, Crew, your point is that licensing is like it's a cascade effect with licensing that, yeah, typically most license companies are not the actual brand themselves because they just don't want to deal with the problems. That said, if you look at the trend in this industry, you're seeing a shift in that. So, if let's say BCM is actually BCM handling the licensing, you look at BNT, they were through ASG, but not anymore. In fact, Nelson here in chat, Archwick, is now, if you look, it says B&T Air. So they're doing direct. So you look at other companies that are doing that path as well. Sig Sauer is now direct, and they used to be under the Cybergun umbrella. So you're seeing more of the major players start to shift into in-house license management. I think because the relationships are just building with the factories. So I think it's coming. So SWAT sim or police sim, we tried that at a field years ago back home. I loved it. I think it's a good one. Kind of like you have to build it right. And that could be a good topic for another video. Actually, the SWAT sim, police sim type platform. So it could be kind of cool. I think, what was that? Battlefield Hardline. That was like, I think that was kind of cool. Nobody's really gone back to that hardline thing again, that cops and robbers stuff. But I think it's pretty cool. Like you can definitely mix things up. It'll change the loadouts. It'll change a lot of things and maybe make it more accessible, especially for the people who don't have gear. They can always go for like the criminal side. I think you need to make sure like you have some sort of reward program for that kind of event. So yep. 6 month PPA. Yeah, I know. And the thing is, man, I'll tell you, the problem too, if you work with these companies, the firearms companies, they even want more restrictions and stuff written on them. Like you end up with a huge wall of text of like liability limitations on the Airsoft version versus it. So, well, cool. I think we kind of hit the wall here at 11 o'clock. I'm going to go get some food in me because I haven't had breakfast at all. So let me wrap up. I'm going to hit the camera here. I'll turn the camera off. I've been recording. There we go. And I think we got some good questions. So what I'm going to do this time, if you guys didn't join early, I'm going to try to pull the questions we've answered from this video and use those in little segment Q&A stuff as we drop. So as we move forward, going forward. So this week, instead of having one big Q&A video with like 3 or 4 questions answered, as well as like a video of the week, I'm going to actually do these questions we've talked about here, pull them out, drop them in standalone videos, see what happens. Give it a shot. If it doesn't work, we'll go back to the old platform. Next week, though, I do have Tim, like I said, from Krytac joining us. We're going to talk about the this thing right here. We're talking about that plus other stuff. If you guys have questions for Krytac, join us. We're back shifted to the normal date, so it's going to be Wednesdays if you guys are in the States. Very early in the morning, Thursday morning, if you are in Europe. Or if you're here in Asia, it'll be Thursday, normal time in the morning, like actually human time. So, yep, heads up on that. Also that I will be back, like I said, in the States. For those of you that want to know, I'll be in Tennessee, back with famine stuff around the Christmas time. So I will be going to Nashville Airsoft. Maybe we can meet up. I might be going to Georgia too. So maybe playing at SS and some other fields down there, or running by Airsoft Atlanta to come by and say hi. If I start to lock down my schedule a little closer to that time period, I will let you all know so you know exactly when I'm going to be there so we can all meet up. It's not that hard, Julie. It's not hard to get stuff shipped to the US. You just got to work with a company that knows. So, but yep, it's always so much fun having you all here. I love having this. If you guys, we're going to keep the live stream going for the indefinite future for sure. And yeah, Crew, you're right. I still always want to call him Airsoft GI Tim. So yeah, Airsoft GI Tim's going to be here next week, AKA Tim from Krytac. But yep. So guys and gals, until next week, I will see you on the stream. And of course, don't forget to hit the sub channel and hit sub on the channel and hit notifications so you know when I go live. Normally, like I said, Wednesdays, I always try to do a community post before we do it. But if you hit the notification bell, you'll get that little pop-up saying, hey, I'm live. So, all right, I will see you all next week on the live stream. And until then, just see you on the channel in the chat. Take care, everybody.